Is the USS Lexington haunted? That is the question that we are going to try to find the answers for. Good evening, everybody. I'm Chelsea Torres, and we're here. This is KDF, and we're here on the USS Lexington to find out what we can find with a paranormal investigation team. We're actually going to go ahead and get straight to it, and this is Corpus Christi Spook Central, the paranormal investigation team. This is a team of 5 guys, well, a team of 6 here, and we really want to find out what is happening on the Lexington. So I'll go and start off, and we'll go and have all of them introduce themselves.
I'm Monty Prescott. I'm the co-founder and lead tech.
I'm Hayden McCarty, and I'm the tech assistant.
I'm Shauna Davis, and I'm public relations and an investigator.
I'm Margaret Prescott. I am the founder and lead investigator.
I'm Sylvia Mills, and I'm a paranormal investigator.
I'm Ray Ewald. I'm also an investigator.
And I'm going to go and squeeze in right in between Shauna and Margaret. Now, how did this investigation team kind of come about? Margaret, I'll go and start with you.
I had a very strong interest in the paranormal, and my son came to me with it, and it's just, we've just been on the go a lot.
On the go, and you guys have actually been on the Lexington a handful of times. Tell me a little bit about y'all's experiences in the past.
Well, one of the experiences that I can think of is being down below and hearing a female scream like she was being murdered. It was just so loud, and it was kind of frightening, to hear that. That's really the only thing that I have experienced.
And tonight, you guys are going to be really investigating again to see what we can find. What different areas of the ship are you guys going to be investigating tonight?
I would probably say by the engine room. There's an area there. There's the mess hall. I've been told there's been a shadow seen there before. We did have an experience, but we really couldn't debunk it. That was in the mess hall where there was like 2 knocks on a pipe. And when we asked them to repeat it, they have repeated the 2 knocks. So we're going to try to get that once again.
And I really want to dive into the equipment that you guys use, because you guys have some high-tech equipment here. So let's go ahead and kind of dive into that. Margaret, I'll go and let you start and kind of tell us what we are going to be using.
Okay, that's really my tech department.
All right, my man over here. Tell us what we have going on here.
Basically, what we're going to be using tonight is a thermal imager, ghost box, things that can pick up energy, because most spirits manifest themselves through energy. So like with the thermal imager here, when a spirit manifests themselves or they use energy from like your cameras or our equipment, they'll produce cold spots. So we'll be able to pick that up and maybe some type of anomalous thing that we can't see with our eye. And of course we have the spirit portal, where it's like you're tuning through a car radio. Just imagine you have a car radio and you're just zooming through all the stations. And it allows spirits to come through the frequency, and you're able to hear voices and sentences. And if you really think about it, if you're going through the station so quick, you can't get full sentences, you can't get words, because you're only on the station for a split of a second.
And which one is that?
That is going to be this one right here.
Oh, this one?
Yes.
Okay.
And of course, audio recorders and other ways to document energy, because that's basically what we're looking for. We're looking for a high concentration of energy.
And how will you set up all of this? Is there kind of a strategy of how you set up a lot of this equipment?
Well, usually you'll start using some of the electronic magnetic field detectors and stuff like that. And as you're going through, if you start getting readings and you're like, okay, well, I'm in this area and I know there shouldn't be a reading here, the investigators will stop and they'll start breaking out some of the other equipment like the Ovilus and the SB7 spirit box and the REM pod, and see if they can get something to correlate with what they're in that area and the experiences that's happened in that area.
Is there one piece of equipment that you guys always rely on, or maybe you've had the most experiences on one piece of equipment?
To me, it always goes to audio and video, because I can tell a story all day long, but I want that tangible evidence to be able to show you and let you form your own opinion of what's going on.
Let me ask you this. You guys have done this numerous times. How many investigations have y'all done as a team?
Well, almost into the hundreds. We've been all over Texas. We've traveled outside the state of Texas, and even gone as far as going to Tombstone, Arizona to investigate the Birdcage Theater.
That is so cool. And out of all of the different experiences that you've had, you guys have been here on the Lexington before. Your personal experience, what are you hoping to gain tonight?
I'm hoping to have the same type of experience I had before. We were actually below deck, and it's been reported before that a male voice will say, "Hey, And we were down there on our second time here, and we actually heard it. And of course, public relations like, well, you got to respond. Let's respond. I was like, okay, hey, and it actually answered back to us. But then again, we couldn't hear it again. So I'm hoping tonight that we actually get that again. It'd be nice.
What's probably the most challenging part of being a paranormal investigator that, people at home don't understand?
There's a lot of downtime. There's a lot. You can go into a place, you can't command the spirits, and you could be sitting there for an hour and get nothing. But then you get that one piece of evidence like, okay, we can keep going. Let's keep going. We've got something now. We can work on it. So.
And typically, whenever y'all are somewhere, how long do y'all usually stay in these places?
We try to stay in there as long as possible, but sometimes the condition and other things kind of make it a little hard. But we try to stay in a certain area. If it gets cold, we'll move on and possibly come back later and see if we actually get anything. Spirits move around. They don't stay in one place. So.
And tonight, so of course our show is an hour and a half. Will you guys be here just for the hour and a half, or what do you guys plan to do tonight?
We plan to be here a little bit longer than just the hour and a half. Of course, once the cameras and everybody goes home for the night, you guys might stir up some stuff. We might want to stay a little later and check it out and see what's going on.
I'm so excited. Is there one piece of equipment that you probably like the most?
I would have to say it's the Ovilus.
And this is the Ovilus right here.
Yes. And basically what the Ovilus is it's a word dictionary. And certain words have certain energy signatures assigned to them. So spirits can touch it and manipulate it and actually make words and sentences. Like one time we were investigating a certain area where there had been a murder. And we got the words blood, we got the word murder, and help. So here it is. What's the odds of those specific words coming up in an area that actually had something like that happen there?
Something that I've learned already just from speaking to a few people here on the ship is that the spirits here on the Lexington, they may not be dangerous.
No. The spirits on this ship, they're men and women, they're heroes, and they deserve the utmost respect, and we're definitely going to give them the most utmost respect tonight, and hopefully they'll give us some answers to be able to relay to everybody else.
And I'm curious, you have a whole team here, so how does it kind of work once you guys, we finish this interview, and then you guys split up, or do you guys stick together? How does it usually work?
We normally split up because we'd like 2 investigators to go in certain directions. It's such a large ship. I mean, there's so much area to cover, so we're definitely going to split up and go in different directions, and then during the night we'll take a break and come up and kind of consult. Because we've had times where a person will have an experience on one side and someone on the other side will have the exact same experience. So it's kind of just, is it the same spirit? Is the question.
Since you've been doing this for so long, before you even got into this, were you guys ever skeptical at all?
Oh, I'm still skeptical now. To be an investigator, you have to question everything. You can't just walk into a location and instantly say, oh, this is haunted. You walk in, you gather the evidence, you analyze it thoroughly, and we've always had the thought process of, we're going to put it out to the public. We're going to let the public decide. Let them look at the evidence that we captured and tell us what they hear, what they think, and go from there. Because, this is a team effort, and it goes way beyond just what we do. The public helps too.
And what do you want people to know that are going to be watching this right now and want them to know about the Lexington in general?
This ship is such history-filled, and there's so many stories. We could be here all night just listening to all the stories of the USS Lexington, and there's a lot of untold stories, and hopefully tonight maybe one of the sailors will come and tell their story tonight, and we can add to the history of the Lexington.
I love it. And Margaret, I wanted to talk to you a little bit more. You're kind of the spearheaded one, of this group, and you guys get together and go on all of these different investigations. For you, what's probably your favorite part?
My favorite part is, I'd probably have to say when you actually get that one piece of evidence that you can't explain, and you get some kind of closure. So we've done hundreds of investigations. Some of them had been residentials and businesses. When it comes to residentials, they want closure. If there's something there, they want some closure. And when you're able to give them that closure to where they're no longer feel they're afraid or there's any fear, that I think is the best part.
You guys never get scared?
Oh, I don't. I'm sure some of us probably have, but.
He screamed one time, ran. Okay.
I may have, but I call it Fight Club rules, so we just don't talk about it. So, yeah,
First rule of Fight Club. talk about it.
The only thing that scares me is snakes and spiders, and you will hear me scream and run very fast.
Why is it you think, though, that as an investigator, these things don't scare you?
I don't know. I don't think they can hurt you. I just have never been afraid of it. I don't find any need to be in fear of it. I always tell every member of my group that it's the dead you shouldn't be afraid of. It's the living.
I like that. Okay, guys, well, we're going to find out more about what this team is going to be doing right here on the Lexington, so make sure you stay tuned. We're going to come back in just a few minutes. And Bill, I'll let you explain kind of where we are.
Okay.
Hey, we are back here at the USS Lexington. Again, the biggest question of the night, is the USS Lexington haunted? I'm Chelsea Torres, and I'm here with the ghost expert here on the Lexington, Bill Miller. Bill, you've been working on this Lexington ship for 15 years.
15 years.
For you, where are we right now? Because people can't see, it's very dark, but where are we as of right now?
Well, right now, with the museum, we call this Carrier Row. But back when the heyday, when the ship was active, this was part of it.
You've had hundreds. You were telling me earlier that people literally have experiences daily.
Pretty much daily. Weren't supposed to be closed. Voices. Just little things. Again, it's nothing real big, but it's a lot of little things. Yeah, but yes, it is haunted. No, it is not a replica ship.
And let's talk about some people their lives.
Well, this ship was not at Pearl. The ship she was named after was the CV-2 Lexington. This ship was supposed to be named USS Cabot, but was the same people that built this ship had built the CV-2, and so they named this ship Lexington in honor of her. But this ship has been, it was in like 21 out of 23 possible awards. She nicknamed the Blue Japanese, and she wasn't. So Tokyo Rose would say, we sank USS Lexington, but then would have to come back a few days later and say, my bad. And it didn't work out that way. Anyway, they reported her.
We were down on the lower deck, and I'll have Bill kind of explain exactly where we were, having a few technical issues, but Bill Miller, again, our ghost expert here at the USS Lexington, has been telling us all day since we've been here about all the different paranormal experiences that people have had here on this ship. And Bill, I'm curious now, for you, what has probably been the one experience that really just shocked you, that you've heard or maybe you even experienced on your own?
Full-bodied apparition down in passageway damage control. I wasn't even working that day, but my wife and I were here to see a Vietnam veteran display. Anyway, we were told about new displays down in Tour 4, so went on down there. My wife just really doesn't care. She just moved on. But I saw a display that was new, so I was watching that, looking at that, and at one point, I'm going to look around and see where she's at, but it's a real confined area. So I don't want to bump into anybody, so I look back over my left shoulder, and there's this young man standing there, about your height, brown eyes, brown hair. He looked Italian. And I could see he was wearing a light blue shirt. And so I looked back and saw him, then saw my wife, and I thought I'm going to go. So I looked back again and say, to tell him I'm going to step back, and he's not there. And anyway, I go, my wife knows what I do for on here, and she said, "You saw something, didn't you?" Yeah. Anyway, that was validated though. About 2 or 3 months later, had another paranormal group come on here that was taking snapshots. We were down in that area, and the leader of the group happened to take a shot that reflected off of plexiglass that showed somebody standing in the door where I'd seen this guy with a light long sleeve blue shirt on.
Creepy.
It is.
Bill, for you, I mean, you are here all the time. You see all of these experiences. Does it scare you at all and make you uncomfortable?
No, because I say that it's not bravado. I mean, it's like I get scared just like everybody else. But nothing on here has ever hurt anybody. If anything else, these guys on here are known to play practical jokes. They'll move stuff. They'll come up and pull on your earlobe or stroke you or something. Yeah, just do something to let you know that they're there.
Now, for the investigative team that's going to be getting down and actually investigating and trying to find some kind of experiences, how much of the ship are they actually able to go around?
Well, if you stay just on the tour routes, I'm going to say maybe 10%. We're going to go on the lower decks, not as much as what we do on the hard hat tour where we get really down and dirty, but the third and fourth decks where the brig is and all that stuff. So maybe add it all up, maybe about 30% of the ship.
30% of the ship, and that's it, because there's so much of the ship that a lot of people don't ever see, we don't ever hear about or touch about. And what kind of are those separate areas that we don't know about?
Storerooms, old sleeping compartments, stuff like that, things that don't really contribute. Now, some of those we're going to make into new exhibits, such as Women in the Navy. That's going to be down on Tour 4. But old storerooms, we got a lot of places blocked off because of safety hazards and stuff. But it's places that you wouldn't be interested in going anywhere.
And of course, we have the investigative team here, but then we've had numerous investigative teams here before on the ship. What kind of experiences have maybe surprised you or have they found?
I don't know of anything that really surprised me. They validated quite a bit. I do have one surprise that we're going to go down and check later on. A place where a woman was reported to be killed, and it's a pretty gory story that I didn't believe because I couldn't support it. But since then we've had crying coming out of there, female crying, just stuff like that. So they did. I brought spirit boxes and stuff down there, but she's not talking to guys. She'll only talk to females.
Interesting. And how gory are we talking, Bill?
Real gory. Yeah.
During the time that, was she like working on the ship?
We don't know. I don't know who this woman is. The story said former crew member, but I can't validate that. She was a training carrier at the time because that's when we had females on board training. So, she spent a lot of time in Pensacola, and I couldn't tell if it's maybe a dependent wife or a girlfriend or something like that. Maybe she was the one. There's just too much I don't know. So I'm hoping to get one of the ladies down there that can
find something out.
We had her on spirit box one time before, but the lady that was doing it wound up upsetting her, and we had to cut that off.
Oh, that does sound scary.
It was. It's like, don't tick the thing off because we get women and children and everything else out here, and all the last thing we need is a really ticked off spirit.
And Bill, you're the first person to kind of attest to the fact, is the USS Lexington haunted? What would you say?
Totally.
How often?
No, go ahead.
How often do you have people calling about whether the Lexington is haunted or if they can come and investigate?
They can investigate. They need to call marketing and set that up. But we do give a lot of ghost tours where we talk, and I kind of combine a little bit ghost tour and if they bring their own tools, then investigation, kind of slip that in a little bit. But yeah, we try to make it interesting, and usually we get some good stuff coming out.
And good stuff. We're talking these kinds of experiences. And the experiences that you've told me so far, it's more so people kind of brushing up onto you, or you even mentioned earlier, someone has whispered in your ear before.
Oh, yeah. Well, it didn't even whisper. It's full out voice. But, right in my ear. We were doing a paranormal investigation one time, and up in junior officers' quarters, they were doing electronic voice phenomenon recordings, EVP recordings. And while the guy was doing that, I was just kind of off to the side in the dark, and something come up and whispered right in my left ear and said, "Bill." You know, that was interesting.
That would scare me, Bill.
Well, I had my flashlight out, and I was looking all over. I was, but we were in a confined area where he couldn't have been.
And you're out up here on the ship late at night, early in the morning. No one else is out around here on the ship. For you, does that ever creep you out, or do you find?
No, as a matter of fact, I love it because with nobody else on the ship, if I'm going around and I hear footsteps or hear doors closing, whatever the case is, I know that's got to be something because there's nobody else up here that's going to do that, and that's why I find it more interesting.
What's probably the most recent experience that you've had? Have you had anything within the past month or couple of months here on the ship?
Yeah, trying to think. Shadow people down in the old print shop. Had a young couple on here, and the young lady going past there, she looked off to her left and she saw what she described as a really big guy, but he was a shadow person that kind of frightened her a little bit. Then in the passageway at the office across from there, you go into the office part and you hear disembodied voices. So, yeah, stuff like that.
And a lot of times, you have visitors on the ship all the time coming, tourists. Of course, you guys have the haunted house happening right now. Not only do crew members, you guys experience things, but a lot of these tourists do too, right?
Oh yeah, as a matter of fact, a lot of reports come off of tourists. They can go to the quarterdeck or just let somebody know that if I'm on board, they'll call me. They can fill out a ghost sighting report on the quarterdeck where the security is.
So there's actually a ghost sighting report. How does that work?
Well, you go in up there and say, I have something, and then you fill it out, then I'll get it, and I'll go investigate it and either validate it or say I can't validate it. Whichever, but it's, is it logical? Does it fit the historical time period? There's a lot of different things.
There are a lot of different things, and I think that's one thing that probably surprises a lot of people, when they're curious that they want to experience something, but it's not really something that you can just come out and ask for, right?
No, you don't ask for it, it just happens.
Do you think that people, because I think there's some people out there, and I'm one of them, that have never really had an experience. So do you think it's more the energy that someone gives off of, or it's just kind of coincidence?
I think it's energy, but well-placed energy. The spirits I have on here, I get this through mediums and spirit boxes and stuff, just interaction with them. The ones I have here, the spirits I have here, are here because they want to be here. This is their home, this is their family, and they want you to know it. They love attention. In some cases, now there's some days where I get nothing, absolutely nothing, so I got to go around the next day and ream them out a little bit. You guys were supposed to show up and you didn't do it. But anyway, it's no, they're sailors, and on a ship, you go into foreign port that doesn't usually see ships. You go into open house mode where you invite people to come through and take a look. And sailors love showing off their ship. They love the attention.
And Bill, you were in the Navy for 23 years, so you know exactly what that's like, being on a ship, being around other sailors as well. For you, what is it like, for these sailors to be on a ship, especially during that time? They were family, and so maybe a lot of them that did die want to come back and stay where they spent a lot of good years.
I've been told in at least one case where a man in his 80s died of old age, somewhere else, but he had served aboard here, and he wound up here, and the medium who was talking to him, actually she was a Reiki master, but she studied auras. She was talking to him and found out that he had died in his 80s, but came back here because this is his family, this was his home. And but she saw him as a young man in his 20s wearing a Navy work uniform because that's the way he was here.
And can you explain kind of what it's like to live on a ship and to live amongst other sailors, kind of what that camaraderie is like, so people really understand that don't know?
Well, sometimes it's, sometimes the temples, you get fights on board, you get all kinds of stuff, but you're a family. I mean, I don't know if you got brothers and sisters, but you probably poked on them a couple of times. But anyway, it's It's just a family. This is their home.
And for you, your experiences and everything that you've had all right here on the Lexington, why have you continued to come back? You know, you've been here now for 15 years.
I love the ship.
Why do you love it so much?
The history, the people on here, the interest. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. You could work on here for 15 days and still have a new experience every day. I'd learn new things every day. I just love it. I've been on board ships so many years that I'm more at home here than I am in a house.
And Bill, I'm really excited and glad that you said that, because I know that the investigative team, they're kind of working hard to getting things kind of rolling along. For you, we want to talk to Bill a little bit more about some of the experiences, but after we're going to find out a little bit more about the investigative team and kind of see what they've been uncovering. We'll find out more right after this break. All right, guys, we are back again. We're here on the USS Lexington. I'm Chelsea Torres, and we're doing some paranormal investigating to really try to find out, is the USS Lexington haunted? I have our USS Lexington, Bill Miller. He's our ghost expert. I have Shauna with the Corpus Christi Spook Central Paranormal Investigative Team. We're going to go down a little bit, so let's go ahead and go down this deck. Just bear with us. Now, Bill, where are we at right now?
Just operations, boss. But we, just kind of use it for temporary. Somebody staying on board temporarily. What has happened was during a hurricane, stolen plane, not like that. But this ship is very good about people that may live in subsea that they don't think could stand up to a hurricane. If they come out and help, they can stay here. Anyway, one volunteer, good friend Ernie, was staying down here, and some other guy, they'd been working all day, they were tired. And anyway, Ernie came down, laid down, but he realized it wasn't air conditioned. And he was hot, already sweaty. So one deck where the volunteer office is, and he laid it down because that is air conditioned. And he went to lay down, but he said he didn't get all the way down when he heard somebody yelling loudly on this ladder out here. And he thought something happened, so he ran out and looked down. At the same time, this guy that was going to sleep in here came on out and looked up, but there was nobody there.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So definitely some experiences in here. And to kind of help validate some of that, we have Shauna with the Corpus Christi Spook Central Paranormal. Shauna, what do you have right here? You have one of your devices.
So basically I have the Ovulus. Basically what it is a dictionary inside of here that has said that spirits can use their energy to manipulate it and say what they're trying to say with the dictionary inside of it.
And so how would this work if we're going to try to use this right now?
So what we can do is we can ask them a question and just say, is there anybody here that wants to make their presence known?
What does that mean?
For the most part, I have trouble getting dates.
Okay, guys. So we're going. That was really creepy. I've actually never experienced anything like that before. But what I really want to do is maybe even use another device or use that same Ovilus device in another part of the ship, because I think that would be really cool, just to kind of find out how intense something like a device like that can actually be. Now, Bill, I'm curious, have you used these kinds of devices before?
I've not used an Ovilus, but I've used a couple different types of spirit boxes like the SV7. You saw that down there. Plus, I have a really good app. I mean, it's a lot of people don't think much about apps, but it was I was introduced to it. It's called a Spiritus, $14, and it's a great little spirit box. I get some good results out of it.
And Shauna, I mean, that is really interesting. Now, let me ask you this though.
Sure.
Has anything like this ever happened where you thought, I don't know, it's probably faulty or doesn't really work right?
I would say maybe sometimes, yeah. I mean, but we actually did an abandoned hospital one time where there was a murder. And like Monty said earlier, we got murder, stab, blood. What's the odds?
And this literally still says holiday. I mean, tomorrow is Halloween. It said holiday. And it said haste when you asked if it was a male or female.
Right.
So I wonder if that almost means that was someone's name.
Right,
I mean, what
it could be.
What, so would you say this is probably one of your favorite devices, or what would you say is your favorite device?
I like this, and I also like the Spirit Portal, which is the ghost box, where it scans the radio frequency so fast, you shouldn't get a solid word or a sentence.
Do things like this creep you out at all? Because that kind of creeped me out.
Actually, it doesn't.
No? That's awesome. That's what I like to hear. And we can use this, I mean, throughout anything, right?
Anywhere, yeah.
Oh, that's
It's battery operated. Use it anywhere you want.
Okay, well, I'm gonna have Shauna a little bit later get another device, because I'm really curious to kind of see what else we can use and what else we can kind of come up with,
Yeah, definitely.
especially in different parts of the ship. And Bill, I'm curious, with that part of the ship, have you guys have different experiences down there in that area?
Yeah, well, I mentioned two different, we didn't go to the other one, which is the air boss stateroom. It's haunted. We've had really intense cold spots in there. The guy that was staying in there before had floating face in the dark and you know, just stuff like that. But anyway, I'm staying there tonight, so I'll see what, I've stayed there before. And the only thing that's really happened to me is battery drain. I woke up the next morning and all my batteries were shot.
I'm
They
curious,
wanted the
Shauna.
energy.
You know,
They did.
Yeah, that's a source of energy for them.
Right.
Now, does that happen a lot with y'all's equipment? Because a lot
It
of
does.
it is battery operated, right?
Yes. We were actually at the old Hoover Hotel last night, and Wandy was upstairs doing some investigating, and his flashlight went off, and he came back on. So,
So literally anything can happen.
anything can happen.
I'm so excited. I'm not sure, are we going to find out some more things to do right now, or are we okay just right here? Should we move anywhere else right now? We're doing good, okay. Well, I think what I would like to do almost is maybe grab a different device
Okay.
and kind of see, or could we even use that Ovilus and just kind of move around different parts of
Yeah.
the ship? Would that work? Where
Yeah.
else, Bill, where else do you think we should go maybe in this area? Is there anywhere else in this area that you think we could go? Just to kind of explore, just to see at this moment and see while we have the time and kind of see what else we can. Is there one little spot that we can kind of stand in?
Kind of look around a little bit because I'm trying to figure out how long, you know, get the cord length.
That's okay.
But I've had several experiences here, just in this deck.
So even just right here.
Yeah, well, I pointed out that shadow person area over there.
That's true.
I don't know if one of the areas over there that's got one of these large frames that you can kind of hide behind. It's finishing up a ghost tour, and coming through here, and it was that night that all the lights were shut off, so it was real dark in here. But she looked off to the right. We were coming this way. She looked off to her right, and she said, "There's somebody over there." And I couldn't see anything, and nobody else could see anything. But she was adamant, so she started off that way. But I kind of held her back a little bit because I said, "If you go on up there, and there's a shadow person. He ain't going to be there by the time you get there.
Right.
Anyway, I just happened to have loaned his her boyfriend a laser thermometer, and he shot it over there. And I told him, said, shoot it over there and see what you get, and he said 63. Well, I knew it was warmer than that.
Right.
So I said, okay. Well, then we walked on over there, and of course, nothing there. But then we turned around and walked back, and I said, shoot it again, and he said 76. So it gone up 13 degrees in less than a minute.
Creepy.
But that showed me that there was probably a shadow man there, that she did see him.
That's true. She probably did. And
Well, if y'all want, we can run the spirit portal and put it on the stage and see if anything comes through.
can we try to do that?
Yeah.
Let's try to do that. Let's see what else we can come up with. That's what we're here for. Just to try all of these different devices that they have and see what we can find. So now we're going to use the spirit box. Okay, so Shauna, can you kind of describe exactly what this is and kind of how it works?
So basically, this is a spirit portal. I like to call it a ghost box on steroids. What we have here is, it's an amplifier, a reverb, and a noise thing. Turn them both on. Turn on. Well, looks like it has a mind of its own tonight, guys.
Well, you know, this is exactly what we've learned, is that spirits will come up with their own little prankster tricks and mess with some equipment.
Remember, I get ghost hunters on here, and they practice all their stuff before they leave the house, and get here and nothing works.
And yeah,
called
it's the Lexington curse, or the Lexington jinx.
Does this work last night?
We already tested all of our equipment. We know it works.
I know a couple professional ghost hunters in San Antonio. They came on out to help me one time, and they brought all kinds of gear with them. I mean, really, really nice gear. And then they got so frustrated out here because half of it wasn't working when it did before they left.
Don't give up on me yet.
Those are the spirits having a mind of their own. And this is supposed to be like the radio, right?
Right, yeah. It scans through the radio frequency so fast. I mean, imagine you're in your car and you're on K99, right? So you switch it so fast, and now you're like that fast, you're on C101. So there's no way that you're going to get a complete sentence or even a complete word. So when you hear a complete sentence or a complete word come through here, you shouldn't be able to hear that.
In some cases, you could put it on reverse.
Right.
And so that you know that you're not hearing a station, you're just getting the words, but it's in reverse. But the spirits are selecting the
What
words
to say.
that they want you to
Oh,
hear.
so that's kind of how they talk through it. That's
And
interesting.
with it being on the amplifier and the reverb and the noise control, it kind of takes out some of that white noise
Okay.
when and if it wants to work.
Now, if this one doesn't want to work,
We'll have to try something else
we will.
until tech can get here to troubleshoot. I'm just gonna unplug and turn everything off.
Now, I'm curious, on a lot of this equipment that you guys have, is this stuff that you can just, anybody can buy, or is it kind of
Yeah,
things
you can pretty much go online on eBay or Amazon and buy just about everything that we have there. This is something that we actually built. That might be our problem right there. So like I said, basically this is just an amplifier that you would buy for a guitar. Reverb, the same thing as a guitar thing, and the noise thing is also a guitar piece. We purchased everything here except for the SP7 thing here on Amazon. So there we go.
Oh, now she wants to That scared me.
Sorry.
Okay, well guys, while Shauna's doing this, we're gonna actually go to break, and then when we come back, we're gonna find out a little bit more of what exactly we can find with this spirit box. So we'll see you in just a few minutes. Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Chelsea Torres. We're here on the USS Lexington. I'm here with Shauna with Corpus Christi Spook Central, and I'll be honest, I'm actually a little nervous, only because we've already had some pretty cool experiences so far. Now, Shauna, we were just using the spirit box. What's happening right now? What's going on right now?
So right now what it's doing is it's just scanning through the radio frequencies, and we can ask it a question and hopefully get a response. But like I explained earlier, that it's scanning so fast to the radio frequencies, there should be no way that we get a solid word or sentence. So you can ask it anything you want. Like you can ask, is there anybody here that would like to make their presence known? Did you understand what it said?
It almost sounded like no.
So you can ask it a question. Ask it any question you want to ask.
Who's here right now? Are you male or female? Shauna, you said y'all have been using this only for about a month. How many times would you say y'all have already used this spirit box?
We've used it probably, I know the last couple of nights we've done 3 investigations this week, and we've used it every night and gotten something off of it. But it's just like anything else, you can't command a spirit to talk to you. I mean, they're just like us. They're going to do what they want to do when they want to do it. So, I mean, if there's anything here that wants to talk to us, they're more than welcome to. So you can ask it any questions. Just like if you're having a regular conversation with somebody, you can ask it its name. You can ask it what day it is. Is there anybody here that wants to make their presence known? What is your name? Can you come a little closer?
Monty, you said you heard something. What can you make out from what you just heard just now?
Well, I heard deck, something deck, before I heard listen. You can hear listen twice. When you're listening to like ghost box or EVPs, when you're listening, you don't want to listen to the actual audio, you want to listen beyond that. Because if you focus just on the audio, it's kind of hard to hear. But you start to listen beyond that and you'll start picking up little things here and there. And it's just really a waiting game. Like I said, sometimes they're super clear, and sometimes they're a little bit garbled, but you just hope more and more you just get the clear ones. And like I was explaining before, the basic setup on this is, if you can look right here, it's scanning through the radio frequencies very fast. So if you're listening to a radio and you're scanning it, you say tune into this local radio station, it pops on for a second, your next channel, it's gone. How can you get words if you're on a radio station for a split of a second? You shouldn't be able to get full words. Yes, you'll get little blips here and there of a radio station, but you're on it for a second. But you get a full word like listen. You're not on that radio station long enough to get listen. So.
What's probably the most surprising thing you've heard from the spirit box so far?
As funny as it's going to sound, bacon. It was the clearest voice coming through, this EVP or whatever you would like to call it, but the voice from it says bacon. And I'm like, yeah, bacon sounds pretty good. So I was like, yeah.
And it's just because it was so clear.
It was as clear as you were listening to a radio station. It lasted so long, but you shouldn't be able to hear full words or sentences through it. You shouldn't.
And it's so hard to make out exactly what it is that they want to say.
Sometimes it's just that way, and then sometimes you get, something as clear as bacon, or we actually use this at the Tarpon Inn, and we actually got the word ghost box, which is another word for it. So why would you pick up ghost box on a radio station? So yeah.
Any other question?
Warning. I heard warning. I heard warning. Yeah, go for it.
What does the warning mean?
I heard that war, but I couldn't make them first.
What war? Who's here right now?
Oh. Sometimes you gotta let it soak. Just let it run and see what energy flows across where you're at and see what voices you get it comes across. And you just hope to get one piece of evidence, like war. Well, where are we at? We're on the Lexington. It was at war. So, I mean...
We could be here all day. I would love to be here all day listening to this.
Whatever answer you get, it doesn't matter. Just go for it. Go for it.
Are you a man or woman?
You could hear help. What do you need help with? So soft, so light.
Do you need help?
Oh, now that was clear. That was clear. You okay? I know we told we were gonna spook you a little bit, but I hope
I'm okay with being spooked, but I was just so clear out of everything else that we've heard. I mean, the war was kind of clear, but that one was loud.
If you sit there and apply the science, if it's going through the radio stations the way it is, how do you get that? That's where really you start thinking about it and putting it together. It's like, okay, I should have heard that. So, and you ask a question, you got an answer.
Whoa.
So yeah.
What other questions should we ask?
Well, we are on the ship. You know, you can always refer to questions about did they serve here, a little bit about a history, what year is it, and if you start getting answers based on that, then the history connects to the paranormal, because in all honesty, you cannot have paranormal without history. So you always connect the history to the paranormal and the paranormal to the history.
Who's here right now? Can you talk to us? It really is kind of like a waiting game.
It is, sometimes you just, and no pun intended, you kind of kill time a little bit in order to hear something, and there's more just waiting and seeing what you get. So. Oh. Now you got a man saying help.
Wow. Okay, we're going to go to break, but we're going to find out some more about this spirit box, and we're going to find out more about what this investigation team has kind of found right here on the USS Lexington. We'll see you in just a few minutes. No. Okay guys, we are back here on the USS Lexington. Again, this is our first paranormal show that we've ever done, and as you can see, we've already had some crazy experiences. We still have that spirit box kind of in the background going, and I'm here with Monty again with the Corpus Christi Spook Central Paranormal Investigative Team. Monty, I'm curious, what got you so into all of this?
Well, we actually had a shop here in Corpus, and later on discovered that it was used to store fatality vehicles. And my dad and I are big car collector guys, so we restore cars, and started noticing things happening, and had a group come in and just kind of started piquing our interest.
The one question I keep asking everybody, does it even make you scared? Are you scared?
Well, I think starting out, I had a little bit of fear because of the unknown, but as you go and do investigation after investigation after investigation, you do learn that be afraid of the living more than the dead, and you spook yourself quite a bit.
I feel like we almost spooked well, I probably spooked myself more than anything. For you, Monty, that is a really cool, that spirit box.
Yes.
Is that probably one of your most favorite equipment to use right now?
It's definitely given us a lot of evidence to back up, the history again. And yeah, it's definitely, as you can hear in the background, it's still giving us more and more evidence to research and see what we can come up with.
And the one question, maybe some people might say back home is, okay, well, it's an electronic device. We have electronic devices everywhere. So let's just play devil's advocate and be skeptical. Could this be faulty at all?
Anything can be faulty, but that's where the research comes in. So say you do get the word war. Well, what are we on? It's a warship. It's a ship that went to war. And so what's the odds of getting that word that matches the history? Or you get a name. We've been in locations where we've got an EVP and got a name, and then after doing the research, there was a person that actually worked there that had the same name that we got on EVP. So again, what is the odds of something like that happening and in the history matching?
Monty, for you, you've been doing this for so long. Is there anything that has really surprised you at this point when it comes to doing new investigations?
Sometimes it does, but I think the one thing that keeps coming back is no matter how many answers you look for, you have more questions at the end of every investigation.
And
like I said, you have more questions.
It jolts me.
Yeah.
Every time it jolts me. With the spirit box and even the ovulus that Shauna was showing us earlier, that too also is kind of along the same thing.
Yes.
Do you think that those kinds of devices are a little bit, better or more credible when trying to search for a spirit?
As long as you're getting words that coincide with where you're investigating. One time we were at Presidio La Bahia, and we were using the ovulus, and we were outside the church, and we got the word church. So again, it's one of those things. You get the evidence. If it matches the history, then you can dig a little deeper.
Someone told me a couple days ago that between 3 and 4 a.m. are the prime times for anything paranormal to happen. What do you say to that?
Paranormal activity can happen at any time. There are so many stories like here on the Lexington where people are actually taking tours during the day, and a nicely dressed sailor helps them along on their tour, but yet they don't have sailors that help them along on the tour. So I think it's maybe sometimes at night you do get a little more evidence, but paranormal activity can happen any time of the day.
For you, what's probably the most exciting part about investigating?
The setting up all the equipment, and then of course tearing it down, going home, and just going through every hour. Because if you imagine you got 4 audio recorders and maybe 8 cameras, and you're there for 4 or 5 hours or even longer, you have to times that by everything you do. So it takes days to go through every piece of evidence, and sometimes you got to go through it twice so you don't miss anything.
And you guys actually have, so a lot of the team is up here right now, but you went out and you already put some devices in certain parts of the ship. What have you done so far?
We went ahead and run our DVR system. Because we've had experiences there before of shadow people, and down in the engine room is where we've got some of the best EVPs that we've had on the ship.
And once you guys are done tonight, how long will it take for you guys to really go through all of the equipment?
Well, once we get everything packed up tonight, we'll probably rest tomorrow because we all need to rest just a little bit. But we'll take a day or two, and then we'll split it amongst everybody, and everybody takes an audio recorder or takes a video, and little by little, we get through it all together as a team.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to have more here coming up after the break and find out exactly what this investigation team has been finding. Stay tuned. Okay, guys, welcome back to the USS Lexington. I am Chelsea Torres, and we are here with the Corpus Christi Spook Central Paranormal Investigation team. Now, they are already kind of planning on their next plan of attack, their strategy. What are they going to do next? The plan right now is to go up to the flight deck. We've heard some interesting stories. I believe we heard about a crash. So we're going to find more information. We have Bill already going up there. We have our crew heading up there to make sure that we can actually get service. And we're going to try to figure this out because we want to get to different parts of the ship and see what we can find. As you can see, we were already here just in the main lobby of the Lexington and already hearing so many different things. We heard the word war from the spook box, the spirit box. We also heard the word no. I mean, we heard even a faint woman's voice. It's just kind of crazy, all the different kinds of things that you can hear. Not only that, but we've used the ovulus, which kind of is one of those things where you ask it a question and it gives you just a one word, kind of a dictionary type word on there. So we're finding a lot of things so far. Again, is the USS Lexington haunted? Bill Miller, the ghost expert here on the Lex, says absolutely. We have our investigation team and they're telling us that they're finding some things. So we're gonna find out more here in just a few minutes. Lexington, I'm Chelsea Torres and I'm here with Lady Lex's ghost expert, Bill Miller. Bill, why are we on the flight deck? Why would some people say that the flight deck might be haunted?
Well, this is one of the most dangerous areas on the ship. You had people up here that not only crashed, but just working up here, especially in the days of propellers and all that other stuff, people actually walking into propellers and dying. It was very, very dangerous up here that you had to really, really pay attention every step of the way to watch what you were doing. I think our latest plane crash, if I recall, where there were fatalities. So if you look over there, you can barely make it out, but the gun mount and then the island here, it was in that vicinity. I think it was in '79, but I'm not sure. The plane came in, a training aircraft came in, and just didn't do well, lost control of it, and crashed into the crash crew that was stationed over there on that part of the ship. That was our first female fatality.
Oh, female fatality. And I guess for you, Bill, also, because I think a lot of people might also be surprised that there used to be more of a wooden deck out here, and now of course there's asphalt, so if you ever come up on here, there's still some of the wooden deck right here.
In fact, this is very important. The one reason why it's not covered is because this is where the burials at sea would occur, and it just, we can't bring ourselves to cover that. The reason we had to cover the flight deck with asphalt, I think we all cried the day that happened, but we tried to save the wood, just couldn't do it. And if you look, I don't know how much you can make out, but you can see what kind of shape she's in. But this is not hurting anything because it's out over water. But again, we just don't want to cover that up.
And I know that the paranormal investigation team, they came up here because they really wanted to see what we could experience up here. So I think we'll go ahead. So why would they want to experience something up here? I know you mentioned the one fatality, the crash. Have people had experiences up here?
Yes, I've got a guy called the Scary Chief. He's always on the front part of the ship, but it could be any deck from here on down. He hasn't been seen in a while, but I kind of think I know why that is. But anyway, he's seen up here, but he was one of these guys that wasn't paying attention, and he actually backed into a propeller.
Does that happen pretty often? You said it does, right? Or it has?
Well, yeah, I mean, it wasn't like an everyday event. But I know my dad was in World War II, and he worked on flight decks like this with propeller, and he was forever bringing home stories about people doing that.
That is some scary stuff. And
That's why you had your senior petty officers and chiefs up here watching to make sure that everybody had their head on straight.
Makes sense. And I'm curious now because I know we have the investigative team up here, so I want to see if we're able to maybe get with them and kind of see what they are hoping to find. So are we able to kind of walk over there? Because I'd like to see if any of these guys over here, I know they brought some of their equipment, so I'd like to see maybe what it is that they're hoping to find while we're up here. Guys, I know you guys wanted to come up to the flight deck. Are you kind of able to tell me maybe why the flight deck is so intriguing?
The flight deck is where all the activity starts. I mean, the plane's coming in, the plane's got taken off, so there should be a lot of activity up here.
And you guys already have the spirit box going. Have you heard of anything in particular so far since we've been up here in the past couple minutes?
We've heard like a conversation between a male and a female. It's like they're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Have you guys been asking questions or anything in particular?
No, they just started talking.
And you guys, when the last few times that you guys have been up on the flight deck before?
Actually, this is my first time up here.
First
on
time.
The flight deck, yeah.
Okay, so guys, we're going to find out a little bit more, of course, why it's so intriguing to be up on the flight deck and to see what else that this paranormal investigation team can find. We'll go and find out more here after the break. Hey guys, I'm Chelsea Torres. We are back here on the USS Lexington. We're actually on the flight deck. I'm here with Ray and Sylvia with the Corpus Christi Spook Central Paranormal Investigation Team. Guys, you were telling me about your experience that you had. This was probably maybe the beginning of the show or so, or when y'all were setting up. What did you guys find? Where were y'all at?
We're down in Bay 2, and that's when you and Bill were down there talking about some things going down there. I had the Obulus, and you had the K2 meter, which picks up, signals and electronics and stuff. But when we were asking questions with the Obulus, I said, where are you? And it all of a sudden it waited and said carrier. Well, this is a carrier. And then I said, how long have you been on the ship? And all of a sudden it says disaster. Now, what's the odds of the Obulus picking up these things live here on the ship? We asked a few more questions, and of course it wasn't clear what it meant, but one time it said holiday at one time, and I was going to go and do some research and find out what happened on this ship during a certain holiday, because there could have been something that happened. It could have been a disaster, who knows? But it's so interesting that you can use these devices and pick up the things from these sailors and on the ship. It's just amazing to pick this stuff up.
And I mean, both of you guys have been doing this for how long? How long have you two been doing this now?
Goodness gracious, off and on, probably 16 years with my twin sister, Margaret, and Monty, and Sylvia's been with this for a long time, too.
Yeah, it's almost been 15, off and on, about 15 years.
Yeah.
And to experience something like this, on a ship, is it kind of surprising, or is it kind of like, we want more, give me more, tell me more?
Yeah, well, we want more. We want to learn more on what happened here and, who's here. That's important. Who's here? Who's still here?
Why do you think people are so intrigued by paranormal investigations, ghosts, spirits, anything at all? Especially, of course, Halloween's tomorrow. But why in general do you think people are so intrigued by this?
I don't really know. I mean, I can only tell you why I am, not anybody else. But mine is, we don't know what happens when we die. We have no idea. So I don't understand why they would still be here. Why are they still here? And that's really what I want to know, is why are they still here? So, I mean, that's just me.
And Ray, I mean, we were talking also just before we came back while we were in break, and we were talking about being alone in one of the rooms.
It's not fun. I've been down there before by myself, and it's just really creepy. You know, even doing this, I get scared. To be honest with you. But the science behind what we're doing is to find out all the mysteries everybody wants to know about. If we can unlock some of these mysteries and let people know what we find, it might have a new avenue of why we're here, you know, and why these sailors are still on the ship. It's evident that years from now, we're all going to be gone. And then who's going to be investigating us? You know, we're going to leave a legacy as well in our footsteps. So I'm really excited being with the group. We're going to keep doing this as long as we can. And if we get any more evidence tonight, we'll let you know.
They will let us know. And I am really excited to hear more, because we will find out more of their findings and more of their investigations. And of course, we'll tell you a little bit more of what we're finding and what we've experienced just here on the flight deck here in just a few minutes. We'll see you after the break.